Hello everyone and welcome to my adventure vlog. I'm John. If you're watching this video, you're probably planning a trip to Peru and looking for videos that might give you an idea of what to expect. In this video, I'll be giving some of my best travel tips for when you get there. Peru is an amazing place with one of the most diverse landscapes in the world, and if you're a fan of history and culture like me, it offers a seemingly never-ending list of places to see, mountains to hike, and adventures to be had. I cover a lot in this video, so if you're looking for something specific, check the timestamps in the description, and don't forget to hit the like button so YouTube shares this video with other explorers. Also, this video is made without regards to the ever-changing C-19 restrictions, so be sure to always check what the current status is. Whether you're looking to have fun in the nightlife of Lima, enjoy the Incan hills of Cusco and Machu Picchu, or the deserts of Nazca, you'll most likely be flying into Lima first. If you're staying in Lima, Miraflores has the nicest hotels, which I will break down in the next part. And it's worth to check out the nightlife and many shopping opportunities if that is your thing. Miraflores also has a decent beach, but I have to visit some of the other areas to see if that beach is the nicest. I was told it's not. It had a lot of rocks and huge crashing waves. So, future videos to come. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my future adventures. The other place in Lima that's the most tourist friendly is the central of Lima, also known as the Historic District. In this area, you'll see blocks and blocks of 16th and 17th century Spanish architecture. It also has some pretty nice hotels, and this is where I spent most of my time while in Lima. This is also where you'll find many museums and other historic points of interest around the city. These areas are the safest places in Lima with a heavy police presence, but like you'll see in my videos traveling to some of the areas outside of here, they aren't really recommended due to safety concerns. Okay, let's talk about the hotels. The hotels all over Peru were honestly great. I probably stayed at about 10 different hotels in total, and even the least expensive one at $35 a night was still pretty fancy, although I'm from nowhere, Nevada, so I'm not hard to please. But you'll definitely still get your money's worth in something a little bit more expensive, like this $85 a night hotel in Cusco that used to be a 16th century Spanish villa. Pretty cool. They get more expensive and even less expensive. It all depends on what you're looking for. I was able to book all of these online via the Expedia website. They are not a sponsor of this video. This worked for me because I was traveling to so many different places, but I still wanted to stay someplace decent, and the options for hotels were abundant. And here's a pro tip. I didn't notice this until literally my last day there, but if you walk into the hotel and pay with soles, I noticed that the posted prices were cheaper than buying them online. So I will have to test this theory, but it's possible to get the same hotel for at least 30% less if you don't book ahead, but it's also a risk. One thing to remember is that Peru has a lot of really old sewer systems, and I noticed in a lot of the older hotels, you can't flush anything except for body matter down the toilet. You have to throw your toilet paper in a trash. Now, I don't know if you're very well traveled, but this was a surprise to me that I couldn't get used to. So I noticed in the nicer hotels, it was okay to flush the toilet paper, which is a luxury I will pay for. Okay, so let's talk about transit. I recommend doing most of your transit through the taxis. They are everywhere. I was told by the people that live there to be careful of the tuk-tuk drivers as they can sometimes have some questionable characters. So for cost of taxis, I think the most we ever paid was 40 soles for a longer trip, but most trips were about 10 soles. If you're going longer distances, you're going to need to book a bus or a plane. Just remember, many Peruvians are not very familiar with the English language, so if I didn't have a Peruvian helping me out, it might have been difficult. If you don't have a friend that speaks Peruvian Spanish, I recommend downloading a translator app, as mine came in handy many times throughout the trip. The food here is absolutely amazing. A unique clash of Latin and Asian cuisines brings a variety of flavors and feel-good foods, especially if you're a fan of ceviche. And being from America, you couldn't beat the prices. From just a few soles to the most expensive restaurant in Cusco we ate was 100 soles for 2 people. And it came with this great view and live music. There were not many street vendors when I was there due to the C-19, but there were endless places to eat everywhere we went, and you can always flag down a taxi and have them take you someplace. Just remember to be careful what you drink. Don't drink water unless it's from a bottle, and don't drink beer unless it comes from a bottle. And be careful with consuming a lot of ice because you could still get sick. Machu Picchu. Okay, so before this trip, I watched a lot of videos on how to get to Machu Picchu, but they were still a little confusing to me. So here is the best way I can explain on how to get to Machu Picchu. So if you're going to Machu Picchu, first you're going to need to get to Cusco. There are no actual roads that go all the way to Aguas Calientes, so you have to take a train or hike in. Cusco sits around 11,000 feet in elevation, and Machu Picchu is not too far below it, so it's best to give yourself a few days to adjust to the elevation. Altitude sickness is no joke, and it affected me for about 2 or 3 days, with only a slight relief once we got to Aguas Calientes. If you want me to make a video on how we remedied altitude sickness, leave a comment below. Okay, so how to get to Machu Picchu. So first, this was confusing to me, but sometimes Aguas Calientes is referred to as Machu Picchu, since it's the town that sits at the base of Machu Picchu. I thought people were referencing two different things, but it's really not. It's pretty much the same thing. You have to get to Aguas Calientes in order to get to Machu Picchu. So once you're in Aguas Calientes, you have a few options to get to Machu Picchu. You're going to get to Machu Picchu either by a short bus ride or a pretty decent hike from Aguas Calientes. The easiest is to find one of the many tour companies in Cusco. They all seem to offer similar prices, which were about $200 per person. Depending on your schedule, there was a variety of times you could leave from Cusco and be back the same day. Since I was there for some additional adventures, I didn't choose this option. So for me, Machu Picchu, it was about $35 for the train to Aguas Calientes, which I bought that on the website for the Peru rail. And then once we were in Aguas Calientes, it was about $15 for the bus that goes up to the entrance of Machu Picchu. You could hike this. It's a couple of miles, and it looked pretty exhausting as these roads are steep. They wind back and forth, but if you want to save the $15 or just get a hike up, you can choose this option. And then for me, as a non-Peruvian, it was about $45 for the entrance into Machu Picchu. If you are Peruvian, you're probably not watching this, but it's less for Peruvians. So that was $35 for the train from Cusco to Aguas Calientes, $15 for the bus ride to the entrance of Machu Picchu, and then $45 for my ticket to get into Machu Picchu. So I saved over $100 doing it this way, but I don't recommend it because I was almost not able to get a ticket. So to avoid this stress, I would recommend at least buying your ticket into Machu Picchu in advance of at least 24 to 36 hours. That way you will avoid any headaches. But luckily for me, I was able to get my ticket, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without Yumiko. So I recommend going with the tour company and saving yourself the headache. Alrighty guys, so you made it to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I just wanted to give you a couple more quick tips. Always make sure to bring sunscreen with you if you're not used to the equator sun. It is no joke. And bring bug spray because some places the mosquitoes can be scary. Alrighty guys, so those are my tips for traveling to Peru. If you think I left anything out, please leave a comment down below so people can hear your perspective. And if you have any questions, also leave a comment, and I do a pretty good job of answering all comments. So that's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy your time in Peru. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you out there in the next adventure.